your life in some way, Robin Williams. In a battle, my weapon of choice would be a pause button or slow motion. And a plant whose survival strategies I admire. A tumbleweed blows wherever the wind takes it without needing anything. A person whose struggle has touched your life in some way, Flannery O'Connor. In a battle, my weapon of choice would be light, and a plant whose survival strategy I admire is cactus. The person whose struggle has touched your life in some way, my grandma and my mom. In battle, my weapon of choice would be prayer, and my name would be peace. And if struggle were an animal, it would be a starfish when they try to open a shellfish. If survival were to be an animal, it would be a three-legged dog who keeps trying to get up and walk and live life. And in a battle, my name would be Don Quixote, because I have seen that the impossible is possible.
So, the last teller of the evening is Meg St-Esprit. She spends her time writing and chasing her 4 kids. She likes to write about housing justice and educational equity issues, as well as general parenting topics. A person whose struggle has touched her life in some way is her 11th grade lit teacher who introduced her to Maya Angelou, and her work has profoundly changed her life. She says, I believe it prepared me as well to be a transracial adopted parent to Black children and give me some window onto the Black experience and what my kids will face. If struggle were an animal, it would be an opossum. They are not glamorous, not well loved, but tough. And one sitting out my front door mat scared the crap out of me a few weeks ago. I respected his gumption. In a battle, my weapon of choice would be, I have no idea, I hate battles, except with words. My name would be, I would just be me, Meg. It's taken me a long time to be okay with me, so I would stick with it. A plant whose survival strategies I admire is the spider plant. I've been trying to kill one for a very long time, and it just won't give up.
Yes, I'm the tallest speaker of the evening, which is true for most of my life. Hi, guys. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I'm excited to be here. As Pam said, I have 4 kids. The oldest is 8. I have 6-year-old twins and 1.5-year-old. So my story kind of opens with that. Every parent has that moment when they realize their kids have grown a little. You can't actually see them growing, but then all of a sudden something doesn't fit. It won't zipper. You can't quite get it on. With 4 kids, we have these moments pretty much weekly. Most recently, I realized that our youngest, the 1.5-year-old, was straining the confines of her fleece footy pajamas. She couldn't quite straighten her leg. That's how you know it's time to move on. So we live in a 100-some-year-old drafty Pittsburgh house. We call it the Pittsburgh Special, that American Foursquare. And also, as the 4th child, she pretty much lives in her pajamas as we race around taking her 3 big siblings to everything. So these are not just a fashion item, they're a necessity. Now, I could have gone to the thrift store. I'm a really good thrifter, and I live in Bellevue, and we have the Red, White, and Blue, which is the best thrift store in existence. I could have gone to Target. We live on a tight budget, but we could have made it work. Instead, though, I turned to our neighborhood Buy Nothing Group. I'm going to back it up here a bit and explain how this came to be. 5 years ago, we uprooted our family, which at the time there was 5 of us, from our rural Beaver County home and moved to Bellevue. We didn't know anyone at all in Bellevue, and I actually picked it based on a mom I had never met in an internet group who also was a transracial adopted family. She's now a good friend. We knew that we could not raise our multiracial family in the stark homogenous whiteness we were living in rural Beaver County. We moved to a new community knowing not a soul. We had twin 1-year-olds and a 3-year-old, and it was incredibly isolating. It was also the middle of winter. I'm extroverted to a fault, as my husband likes to say, but there can be a loneliness in being able to chat with any person that crosses your path. I've been known to say that I have connections that are a mile wide but an inch deep. And despite the short distance of our move, I lost a lot of connections. I lost having my mom a mile down the road. I lost my church, and I lost the friends who swore they would drive down to the big city, but never came to visit. I don't regret anything about our move. We are exactly where we're supposed to be, and I've made some of the most amazing friends in my entire life since we moved, but it was hard. I struggled with this lack of community. How do we create community where it doesn't exist? We bemoan, as a generation, the loss of the village. But here I was, looking at porches filled with strollers, backyards covered with Tonka trucks, people walking dogs and sitting on benches. There was a village all around me, but I didn't know how to access it. Like a true millennial, just barely, I'm an elder millennial, I turned to social media. Like the extrovert on steroids that I am, I decided I needed to find my people, and so I would just start a mom's group. Alongside another young mom that I had met, we created a hyper-local moms group for Bellevue and Avalon, and we also launched a North Boroughs branch of the Buy Nothing Project. The Buy Nothing Project is a national organization. It is basically a hyper-local gift-giving economy where people give freely what they have and ask for what they need. We were just the catalysts, though. These groups exploded because it turns out everyone is dying for community. It just looks different than it used to. I am fiercely independent and self-sufficient by nature, and it took a lot for me to make myself vulnerable enough to actually connect with my community. I can host every play date, speak at every event, but actually letting people in is a lot of work for me. To acknowledge that I was drowning at home with 3 kids under 3, that I was disconnected and disengaged, and that I didn't have it figured out was hard for me. Slowly, though, I watched community develop around me to the point where I now feel absolutely certain that my community has my back. So back to those jammies. I posted my need. I didn't need a ton of them, maybe just 7 pairs. Enough for a week, enough to procrastinate on laundry. It feels so vulnerable, right? Asking for something you need. There are families that have less than us. There's families that need more than us and struggle way more than us. That's not solely what community is about. It's about leaning on one another, is what I have been learning. It's so much bigger than the item you're asking for. No one had all the pajamas I needed, but multiple people could spare 1 or 2 pairs. One neighbor told me she had just gone to Target and bought a 2-pack, and she'd give me 1 of them. So now each of our girls has matching llama llama pajamas. That gesture solidified for me just how entrenched I am in this village. None of us had a plethora, but we were able to make sure that everybody had just enough. A little thing that had a big impact for me. When I zip her into those jammies as glorious, glorious bedtime approaches, I feel connection. That fragile thing we as humans are seeking is solidified in that small act of love. Our community is really good at meeting big needs, whether there's a house fire, a fundraiser, a festival, or an event. We can pack a spaghetti dinner to capacity or cheer on an elementary school Halloween parade like it's Macy's quality. I think a lot of communities are really good at those things, those big things that call us all together. And I appreciate those things. They make it a great place to live. But the small, unassuming acts, they hit me so much harder. Allowing someone into my struggle for vulnerability and connection and allowing them to meet a need that I have is just truly one of the biggest hurdles I've had to overcome in my life, but the beauty that's come from it has absolutely changed me as a person. I've also really learned that there is so much love in being able to meet a need. A few months ago, another neighbor's mom passed away unexpectedly. She's the same age as me, and her mom is the same age as mine. It just felt raw and uncomfortable and painful. I'm not good with that. I say daily that I couldn't live without my mom's help, and I mean I literally could not live without my mom's help. She comes and bails me out many days when I'm drowning in children. It's not my strong suit to be vulnerable for a friend that is navigating something that's one of my worst fears. And as I've said, vulnerability is the area where I will forever resist, which is of course why I volunteered to come talk tonight, work on that. I never know what to say or what to do when someone is in extreme pain. It's just for me, who I have a therapy degree, I have got up and talked about a million things in front of a million groups of people, but someone in extreme pain who I love is very hard for me to deal with. I offered that pat and hollow sounding, let me know how I can help, but I really had no tangible picture of what that would look like. It was just platitudes, it felt like. My neighbor though, she'd been living in and creating the same sense of community that I've been learning to trust. So my seemingly pat offer actually had meaning to her. She asked me to go to a florist and buy 1 Gerber daisy for each grandchild so that they could lay them on her mother's coffin at burial. The task in itself did not take me long. In walkable Bellevue, I was able to pop the baby in the stroller, go down to a florist, and ask for what I needed in less than a half hour. Walking back home with those Gerber daisies carefully wrapped in the bottom of the stroller, trying to navigate our crumbling, chewed-up sidewalks, I felt so connected through this minor act. The emotional weight of it hit me heavily. It feels so affirming to be needed and trusted in the mundane, painful details of someone's loss. I'm not sure that my friend actually gave it much thought. She had a task she didn't have time for. She might just not have had the emotional energy for it. So she asked, and I did it. But I thought about it for weeks. What it had looked like when I finally let my guard down, let people in, and allowed others to let me in also. There is so much struggle and injustice in the world that it literally overwhelms me. I realize I've led a pretty charmed life due to so many factors: generational wealth, class, and race. There's struggle I can't even begin to comprehend how people have survived. As a writer and journalist, I've had the immense privilege of helping others to tell those stories, whether it be the stories of refugees fighting for survival, a mother struggling with cancer through her pregnancy, a child with special needs. The common theme, though, in all of the stories for me is people seeking safety and authentic connection. That struggle for community that is within all of us. When they finally find that safe, authentic community connection, that's where you really see people thrive. And that's where I saw myself thrive too when I actually did the work to get there.
So this pretty much brings us to the end of the evening. There was a paper going around with what, I don't know if somebody has it, somebody that is out there? Yeah. So there's one last thing that we might ask you to do as an audience. There's yet another form. Did you see I used to teach school and hand out papers? I love making papers. What it is to, well, I'll let you know what it is in a minute, but if that's what's going around, you can either fill it out now, leave it with us, or think about it and then email it to the address on the paper, your thoughts. So, just to let you know that this all started out with a thought about people struggling financially. That was the starting point. And, but it seems like, and all the people that are talking, they're all deeply concerned with this issue, with the space of low wage, poverty, homelessness. They either work with people or have been in that situation themselves. And we thought about it, and okay, I gotta tell you this one thing. Any of you guys remember Queen for a Day? Yeah, well that was the thing. If you're young, I'll tell you what it is. It was like the first reality show, maybe one of the first, where they get 5 ladies who had really sad lives and they would tell their sad stories, and then the audience would applaud, and whoever got the most applause, they had an applause-o-meter, that's what I remember as a kid. It would go like, woo, woo, and whoever got the most applause would be the one who got to be Queen for a Day, and they would get a tiara and a washing machine. Something like that. And it was like, now that I think about it, it's a terrible, terrible show. It's horrible. And yet, I watched it as a child. I thought, Queen for a Day. But anyway, we don't want that. Okay. So the survival and struggle and survival are multi-layered, and you, in the end, what matters, I think, the most is taking whatever victory you can wring or whatever success you can have, and then go forward and on this journey that Whitman so helpfully pointed out to us that we're on. So with this piece of paper that's going around, that if you feel like it, I would really be, we would all be curious to see what you think that, where do you think you see the journey going? What does survival look like, either for an individual or a community? And leave those thoughts with us, and we'll compile them and put them up someplace where you can check in on them. So what I'd like to do is, as we end, is we have one more round for all the storytellers. Stand up, guys. So Storybird and Public Source for all the work they did into making this whole event happen. And I'm going to leave you with one more quote from Margaret Mead. change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And good night.